This isn't a dramatic life update. There's nothing wrong. I am just tired. Tired. Um, I'm in an interesting season where I am discovering what is it that is important to me. What is it that I feel like I am able to deal with, understanding my capacities a lot better, and really trying to find the true sense of what is it that I am designed to do. We spend so much time trying to find our purpose. We spend so much time trying to do what we think is right for us versus what is right for us that we often can make decisions that can make our life more complex than what it's supposed to be. And a lot of our life we feel like it needs to be planned and structured and outlined, and those things are great. And there's elements within our life where that's just simply not going to happen. When you have to deal with the fires that you have to juggle, you have to wear a lot of hats, and we're in a space in today's time where we feel the need that we have to consistently be moving forward in some capacity. And two things can be true. You can be busy and you can also be unproductive in that busyness. Doing more does not mean that you're going to move further or move faster. And I'm learning that in real time, doing various things that I am truly proud of and things that I have been desiring and wanting to happen. And there's so much that is still left to be done. And that is the hard part when you can see something at its highest heights and you want to control that outcome. And when you can't control that outcome and it requires you to be patient, it can do something to your psyche because we're so quick to see, compare other people's lives and what they're doing, or maybe they're in the same place as you and they're doing something similar, if not more. And that could be difficult when you feel like you're busting, you're behind to get there, and it's just not happening. So what do? You have to take a step back sometimes. Sometimes you got to remember to steward yourself, which I think that I am learning in this season. As much as I've been doing, as many opportunities I've been having, I've also had to do a real deep dive within self and look at doing the schedule, which I, be honest, I don't always do, and really pay attention to how much of my time and energy is spent onto pouring onto others, which I think is a big part of our life. But how much of it I actually pour back into myself is like this is so little. And there's periods in life where that's going to happen. And depending on what you do for you in your life, a lot of my life is centered around teaching, speaking, counseling, just trying to be as present as I can be. It is hard sometimes to see when you have a time for yourself until your body tells you, I can't do this anymore. I used to think that being resilient was one of the greatest traits that you can have. I am starting to learn that even with resilience, there's a threshold to our own capacity as human beings that should not be championed when it's at a point where our body is literally telling us that we have to stop. There's a difference between discomfort and distress. And when you recognize the difference, you'll know when to make better and sound decisions. When you're in the gray in your life, when you're trying to figure out something that's meant for you, and again, going back to time, when it's not the right time, it can be hard to sit back and just accept the fact that it's not time because of what we think our time should be. A question that I always ask other people, whether it's my students or clients, whatever, is if you were given the opportunity that you prayed for or desired, would you be prepared for it? A lot of us think that we would until you get it. And then you realize how much it is required to maintain it. I feel like that in my life at times. All the things that I've been asking for is all stacking up. And again, I am very grateful for it. And there's also points in time where I'm like, how am I going to be able to do this? I already feel like I'm at my wits' end, right? That's me being authentic. That's me being myself. That's me recognizing and having the awareness to know that, hey, I'm at my limit. I got to push past this and which I can and will, then I have to ask myself, what would be the detriment if I try to go past the limit of my limit? What happens to me long term? Because again, if you're not able to steward yourself, steward what is literally your entire being, your body, your mind, your spirit, how are you going to be able to make an impact in other people's lives? At some point, the productivity, the attention, the detail, the intentionality, it's all going to look a lot different. And so you don't want to shortcut yourself to make everything else around you beneficial. There's no way that's going to be able to be beneficial for you in the long run. And so the question is, how do you balance it? Sometimes you can't. And I understand that. I know some people are living lives where there's multiple stages of responsibility, or you feel responsible for a lot of things. And I can't tell you just to stop that, right? But you do have to find a system that works for you and be able to adjust that. And really, the biggest thing is just give yourself grace. Beating ourselves up, telling ourselves we could do more, while it can be true, your body is telling you, I cannot do this. Sometimes you got to accept that everybody has a limit. It doesn't mean you're weak, doesn't mean you won't be successful, doesn't mean if you say no to something that it won't happen again. And I get that struggle too, because I'm at that point right now with, especially with speaking opportunities. I'm like, man, I'm getting this one. I gotta take it. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. And then the moment of time is cool and great, and then time comes, and you're like, oh, I gotta prepare for this. Oh man, I gotta prepare for that. And I still do it, but I also see the effect. Or when I'm done, I'm like, oh, I did it. All right, now I just gotta push another one. And while people can do that, again, what's the downside? Burnout, potential depression, isolation, right? Because we're trying to push past our own capacities and limits. So, three things I would like to say to wrap up that this season is teaching me. Being busy is not the same as being busy is not the same as being aligned. Just because you can do everything doesn't mean you should. When you think about all the things that you're able to do every day, you got to ask yourself, if I add on something else to my plate, what would that do for me? If I take off something else from my plate, what would that do for me? Again, your body, number two, your body will tell you the truth before your calendar does. Every time. There's different stages of burnout, or different stages of depression, or there's different scales of anxiety and depression. And if you're on the high functioning side, you're no different than somebody who can sit around and wallow in bed rot. Because again, it's going to catch up to you. And we got to find systems in place that works for you. And we got to prioritize ourselves and what that looks like as far as I care. That means sometimes saying no. That means sometimes placing boundaries. That means sometimes you just don't try to find another option. And it doesn't mean that if you say no, you don't care. You do, but you have to take care of yourself. And then lastly, transitions require honesty. They don't just require discipline. We can talk about the rigidity, as I mentioned. We can talk about the scheduling, the promptness, the diligence. But transition also requires you to be honest with yourself on how is it that you're going to be able to deal with that transition. If you're uncertain about something, that is totally okay. You do not always have to have the answers. Sometimes it's better to do it afraid than to lie to yourself, because that puts yourself at a bigger detriment than it should. Sometimes it's that transition of understanding of what you have to change to elevate yourself. Either way, anything requiring transition also requires inner reflection. Like I said, I'm tired. And if you're watching this, hopefully this is encouraging you. This is not me trying to push past. This is me being authentic in what I think is important to me. I've even struggled to make content, and I've been doing it for years, and I found ways to push through, but I'm really listening to my body on when to just speak from the heart versus trying to make it as structured as plans, I think. So I hope y'all found some value in this. I will stay consistent in my own way, but I know when I need to take a step back, and that's okay too. So I'll see you guys soon. Peace.